Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 11th episode of Do Live. Our most sincere apologies for a little delay. We had a little bit of tech issues, but hopefully you'll be able to see that the quality of the content, the quality of the production is improved. My name is Matonizz, also known as Matonizz. Here's my co-host, Michael Dingfelder. As you can see, a slightly different layout today. Unfortunately, we could not get Mike's camera on, but at least he's going to have a good audio today. And for next time, he's going to have this nice cinematic look like I do. We have that set up. We just had a little bit of tech issues, and we did not want to go any later. For those who've been patient and waiting, thank you so much. Please do us all a big favor. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not already, hit that notification bell, and a big shout out to also the man who's working behind the curtain, our producer, Jack, who's going to be monitoring the whole thing. And please give us a thumbs up if you can hear, if the volumes are fine. And with that being said, Mike, how are you doing?
Hey, can you get me one of those plastic euphoniums too, so that I could have something in the back like how you have? I think that would be neat.
Just keep that in mind. It's not plastic. It's just white paint. Just go to Amazon and order. It's like $20 per euphonium.
I thought it was plastic because, you know, instruments made out of plastic are just far superior to any other material.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback in regards to the audio. Please, I think that should go away soon. Let us just quickly check if the audio is going on fine. We're working on the audio. Please, I'm getting a thumbs up. Can I get some more thumbs up, Jack? Before you change anything in audio, just wait a second. What's going on with your microphone? I'm still hearing that. Can anyone give me a better description of what you're hearing with microphone? Yes, I have a plastic trombone. Okay. Okay. Okay, can I get a couple more thumbs up just to make sure we're good with audio? Because on our end, the audio is coming through just fine, but I'm hearing a couple of people saying that the audio quality is computery. It's like a robot voice. That's weird. It's like a robot voice. Okay. Let me just quickly ask. Okay, I'm getting a text. Again, our apologies for not only being slightly late for this, but also having tech issues. We're really trying to make this look and sound as good as possible. And as you can see, there's new equipment. It sounds... okay, let me see if I'm getting the right audio.
I'm getting some messages that it says it sounds good. So
okay, can you hear now? You should be able to hear my voice a little bit better. Is that can anyone give me a thumbs up on that one? Let me check my Skype settings. Lol, it's fine. Somebody's saying it's fine. Okay, I just want to make sure that we're definitely using the right microphone. I'm seeing the right microphones.
Maybe you are actually a robot.
Maybe I am. You never know.
You don't make many mistakes whenever you play and stuff like that. So
I make plenty mistakes when I stream though. That's how much better. Okay, that got fixed. Okay, again, apologies for a little delay and small tech issues, but as you can hear, hopefully the audio quality now is much better to what you're used to normally. Hopefully you're not going to get any lag on video. Welcome to everyone who's joining in. Again, my name is Matonizz, known as Matonizz, and everyone knows my colleague Michael Dingfelder, also known as Ding. And today we're going to have some really, really cool stuff for you. But that being said, hopefully everyone's been doing well. Our apologies for not doing live streams recently for I'd say well over a month. I've been working very hard. As you can see, for those who've been following my activities on YouTube channel, I've been working very hard to set all the little studio equipments for my colleagues so we can actually start producing some quality recordings, as you probably already heard, and hopefully quality podcasts. So the man behind the curtain who's helping out us a lot is our producer, Jack. All the money who goes from the super chats, if you choose to donate, will go to him, as well as you get priority to your questions, not the exclusivity. But that being said, Mike, how are you doing? How's the last couple of weeks or months been to you? Because I've only seen you once live recently since we had the live stream. Anything new? Anything that you'd like to share with everyone?
I just didn't think you loved me anymore.
No, I did.
It's been, I don't even know how long since we've had a get together online here, but
Are you a little heartbroken?
A lot heartbroken. Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to say hi to Brazil in what feels like 2 months. So,
That being said, I hope you appreciate the microphone I hooked you up, and
yeah, thanks a lot.
all the light all the light that is blasting to your face right now.
Amazing. Is it too bright? Is it too brighter?
No, that's fine. We're getting that adjusted.
Amazing thing happened just last week. Handful of days ago, I had an opportunity to take part in one of my really good friends' weddings. I was in the wedding party of it. It was amazing. I'm so happy for them. I actually have another friend that is getting married in a couple of days. I'll get a chance to see you there too.
Yeah.
Because your wife's playing for the service. But another good friend is going to be getting married too. So it's like the season of weddings.
My brother just got married as well. So it seems like everyone's picking an interesting time to get married. I was going to offer you that we should probably play something in that wedding together, like as a little trio. But Brute was like, I don't think he wants to be bothered and stressed out by carrying euphonium or something. But maybe we could make like a little special number or something.
Barite is the professional. Just let her handle the.
I guess that's a no. I'll take that as a no.
Just let her handle the.
Okay. Since we all caught up, let me just quickly walk everyone through what's going to happen today. So we're going to look through some of, I picked a really cool piece that we're going to look through today. It's one of our Christmas tunes that we played, and we're going to share our thoughts in terms of how we managed to work that piece as a section, how we approached it, what was going through our head, and all that kind of stuff. And this piece was tricky in a way that it's probably one of the most complicated counting-wise piece. It's called Christmas Flourish, and it's a compilation of medleys. And the tricky spot was that we're playing this piece without any rehearsals with a choir. So it was written for a 5-piece brass solo ensemble, a brass band, and a choir. We didn't have any proper rehearsal time for that stuff. So it took a lot of counting and a lot of preparation and a lot of agreement with Mike what we are going to do during the concerts to not get lost, because it's not as obvious in terms of the entries and etc. So we're going to have a look at that. Then we're going to watch some funny, cool brass fail videos, and then we're going to move on to some of your questions that you submitted through social media as well as live. So without any further ado, let's watch some Christmas Flourish. Alrighty, so let's get that going on. Sounds familiar. Okay, so let's just stop here for a second right there. So as you could hear, like the very beginning, first of all, this is a big hall, so it's already hard to understand what is happening. I think it's a little bit more clear on the camera audio equipment because it catches the sound from all the angles. But I was really trying to pay attention to that bell sound to make sure those triplets are in time. Also, you could notice that there's way more body movement from me, just to make sure me and Mike as a section, we come in together and we finish the phrase But from the very get-go, this is a tricky piece. You'll be able to hear that the tempos and tempi change constantly, okay? So let's move on. Let's continue. And as you can see, pay attention to each time we're having these rests. You could literally in my lips see counting out loud 1, 2, 3, and I'm doing the same thing on fingers. Just because even though the melodies, everyone knows these Christmas tunes, but the way they ornament it and the way the harmony sits, it does not make it very obvious in terms of where you need to come in. And also we did not have a tremendous amount of practice time. So no rehearsal.
This piece of music in particular, a lot of holiday songs and things like that, a lot of times you could just sit back and just coast, and you know what the holiday song is, and you're a lot of times just playing a lot of harmony, or you jump in there with the melody. This piece has burned me so many times playing it. It's a great piece. I love the brass soloists that are featured, but I am just on the tip of my toes
12 minutes straight, isn't it?
Every second of this piece, because a lot of the parts that we have to play are not necessarily melody parts. They're just random that come in at different times. It's really nerve-wracking.
And it has this weird structure where the choir sings like dun 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 dun, dun, and it's followed up by a little soli ornament, which usually was written for in euphonium 1 and 2. And you cannot really mess that up because it's really, really exposed. And the problem with that is that the tempo, there's always quarter notes clashing with triplets, eighth notes clashing with triplets. So it's 12 minutes of nonstop. That's one of the most intense pieces I have ever played. It might not be the highest or fastest piece, but there's a lot of texture complicities in this piece. That being said, let's hit the play button and continue. Counting right here. And yeah, let's play this.
Stop it right there. Stop it right there.
How awesome was that? So let me just get, yeah. So in the rehearsal, because that is supposed to be one euphonium, and normally it was supposed to be me who's playing, and in the rehearsal, because it was a lot of stuff we needed to play for that Christmas concert, and also that bit is so hard to come in because it changed. The rhythm changed from, I believe, 6/8 to 3/4, and the way it's being conducted, that the pattern changes quite a bit, and we were having a lot of trouble. And I was like, Mike, do you want to take that over? And he was like, not really. I was like, I'll take that as a yes.
I remember what happened. We were in rehearsal at Heinz Hall for this, and we were playing through the piece, and it's just every single time I had to play that and we were trying to come in together, I would just find some way to mess it up or not realize what I need to do and things like that. And then all of a sudden James is like, you know what, in the euphoniums, why don't we just have one person do it? And in the back of my head, I'm like, yes, one person, not me. But and what's funny is right after that, right after he said one euphonium, and I was so happy, he was like, Mike, why don't you take it? And I'm just like, no.
Yeah, that's a quick shout out to Ben Thurtle for a super chat donation. Thanks a lot, buddy. We really appreciate it. Or buddy or a lady. I'm not exactly sure. So
And,
thanks either way. We appreciate it. That's what I was trying to say.
and what else is a killer too is that you by far get paid way more than I do. But it is pretty cool that you let me take some spots, and you didn't have any say in this instance because it was James' decision. But it was pretty cool. I had a chance, but as soon as he had me do it, man, I tried my hardest not to mess that up anymore, and I did a pretty decent job most nights with it.
And it goes from 1 2 3 to 1 2 3. It goes from being in 3 to 1 and 2 immediately. It's hard to catch that tempo as well, and it's and it's also when you look at it, it changes every single night because you have to follow the conductor, but bear in mind every single night a new different choir, and the conductor is trying to give the band the cues, but also follow the choir because the choir is not a professional choir. They're going to be doing their thing, and we're just hoping that for most part they're going to be at the right point at the right time. So
if my memory serves me right too, I think this is the one part where I believe Jeff is playing the same lick that I have, and that's another part too for people who are listening, is how effective you are at listening to the ensemble that you're playing with, especially if you have similar parts with other instruments that might not be close to you. I can guarantee you during this moment, I'm really focused in on what Jeff is doing on the soprano trumpet, and I'm making sure I'm right with him because Jeff is so good, and
he sits right next to the conductor as well.
He never makes a mistake ever, and I feel so confident in listening to him. And when he goes to play, I always try to be right with him, just because I know I can count on him so much because he's so excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hit the play button. So right there, and you could hear how, even on the camera, how muffled the choir sounds, and it's nothing to do with the choir; it's just the venue, and we're all placed so far apart, and you have to listen to the choir. And it's so hard to understand clearly what is happening with the tempis because it sounds like one big mash of sound. So you have to really pay attention and figure out is the choir following conductor? Like, because it's again, as I mentioned, there were not a lot of rehearsal, so it's a lot of concentration, and it's not the most comfortable piece to play. It's 12 minutes of ultimate concentration, counting, and focus. Okay, let's hit the play button.
That's exactly what I mean with those random things that are taking place.
Yeah. Look at my face. Just look at my face. Look, it's the most focused face. You can literally, there's no moment in time. And remember, we had so much struggle. I think in rehearsal, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think before the first concert we had a single rehearsal where we played the whole thing through, at least me and you, without like some sort of a noticeable mess up. So we were like, and I remember we were like, dude, in the concert it might sound silly, but we're literally nodding at each other, counting every single bar just to make sure that we're always good. It was constantly between either I messed something up in regards to counting or being or following the conductor, or it would be you, and we kept on swapping these little errors to the point where during the performance it's always like laser counting. No, eyes never go away from the music and the conductor. So
yeah, it's just such a big amount of teamwork to do this piece of music. It as enjoyable as this piece of music is, it almost feels like a battle, and it's like a 2-person army, me and you against, a million people. It's just the odds are stacked against us.
Yeah, and it's always those little ornaments, those 16 notes, 8th notes, where it's daga daga daga. You really have to feel the beat. And when you play at the same time, it's hard to hear that in a big hall with like 60 plus, probably more than 60 players at this point, choir plus musicians. So that was quite a tricky piece. Let's hit the play button. Okay, so this point right here, stop. Now pay attention in the back. There's a soloist coming out. He's about to sing the Silent Night. Is it Silent Night? I think it's Silent Night. But basically what happened, she was supposed to be at the front, couple bars before now. So we basically just randomly did like a little fermata on one of the beats. And at this point, I had no clue which bar we at. So you're going to notice in just a moment. But pay attention, there's a soloist walking behind the back. And that speaks to the inability to rehearse, because this is at the spot with the choir. So it's not necessarily the soloist's fault, but it was a little bit of miscommunication, and she walks out.
I believe James too. Didn't James had to communicate something to the solo horn player on the side too about this, to maybe hold back a couple of bars and stuff like that?
Because nobody knew which bar we were at, and just pay attention to our faces right here. This is going to be golden. Just notice the panic, the sheer panic in my eyes once, because later on we come in with a melody, and I think what happened, I remember. We were like, I think I determined that this is most likely the correct place to come in, and we came in at the right place. But it was like the first note when we hit is like, that's the right place. That's good. My heart rate dropped from like 180 to like my regular, but hit the play button. Okay, so right here, the brass and the singer does not match. It's not. It sounds right, but I'm pretty sure that's not how it was supposed to go. I think that the horn, there was a little solo horn thing, and it wasn't clear what bar where we at and all that kind of stuff. So hit the play button again. Just stop it for a second.
You can see us checking back and forth too, like trying to figure out exactly where we are. Like sometimes we'll do that very quiet. Like a lot of times we could do it nonverbal and figure out different answers to the questions that we might have. But sometimes it's so tough where you actually need to speak softly and try to figure out what's going on when.
Yeah. Okay, hit the play button. Look at the breath. Look at the breath I just took. It was like, all right, I think I need to come in. Like in my head, I'm thinking, I think I need to come in one bar. And I was like, I'm just going to have to come in. Like we are literally taking the melody line. We cannot just not play that. So hit the play button again. Okay, and I'm just gonna stop this for one more second. And when we come in, it sounds like it's pretty self-explanatory that that was the right place to come in. But just if you listen just carefully to how everything, all the moving parts are structured, it's very, very hard to understand which is that fourth beat of a verse. So you could hear the singer, but it was not matching the singer all the time. You would not necessarily come in like at the end of a phrase, like on the first bar after a phrase. So it was a very weird piece. But yeah, we came in at the right. At this point, my high rate just literally dropped from like 180 to probably like my regular 100 or 90 or whatever beats that is. I remember I was a little worried at that point. Okay, let's hit the play button. Okay, and right there, I'm listening to the marimbas, and also just one thing I quickly I just remembered. This performance was broadcasted live on WQED, and I think that was another thing that was in my head, because you don't wanna be the guy who's, or the girl who's messing up like live on the radio as well. So yeah.
This next spot, you might have seen me reach back and grab the euphonium mute back there. There's a muted part that I have to play coming up, and out of all of the sections in this piece of music, the part where I would most often not come in at the right time would be for this muted part that's coming up. I think I did it right this time though.
Yeah. Okay, let's hit the play button. And right here, just stop it. I believe this is the part that the audience is gonna give the applause to the soloist who sang. And the problem is the next bit starts right at the time when everyone's clapping and yelling, and I was freaking out because I could not hear what was happening. And there was one more of those where I needed to count and I could not count because the audience was clapping so loud I could not hear anything that was happening. So just pay attention to this. I think the claps are about to come around. Let's hit the play button. Yep, right here, right here. This normally that turn of a head normally means that I have no clue where I am. So I'm asking him because I believe that was supposed to be 16 bar rest. So normally it's pretty self-explanatory. I normally count 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, etc. I'll split it into 4 groups. But at this point, I could not understand what happened at the very beginning. There's like no cues marked in and nothing on the piece of music. So I'm always hoping if I miscount that and we agreed that in this piece, even though our parts are different, we never stop counting, just because it was this is exactly what happened in the rehearsal. You end up in the situation where I would lose the count and you would not be counting because your part was not there yet. So at the last rehearsal, I remember we agreed that we're going to be counting no matter what, just in case one of us loses where we are. In this case, yours truly right there. Okay, let's hit the play button. Oh, did you hear that? That was yours truly forgetting some of the sharps. Some of the sharps in the I believe that was supposed to be a G sharp, because there was like a 7 or like 6 or 5 or whatever sharps. The most awkward keys. I don't know whether you could spot that, but there's definitely a wrong note, and I'm not gonna blame the second euphonium player in this one.
While we're stopped with you mentioning that, there's so much even just going on right here. It's like not only do you have to listen to yourself with what individually what you're doing, but how me and you are teammates and we have to listen to each other, and the choir of voices that need to fit into that mix, and also the brass choir that are the additional soloists to it, and keeping an eye on the director to see what we need to do and the feedback from that. It's just, it really is an overload of all of the senses here: sight, sound.
Yeah, and that's one of the pieces. There are type of pieces that might sound like they're very hard to play, but they are much more sight reading friendly than this one. Like if you're good at scales and doing all that kind of stuff, playing fast and high might not be necessarily the hardest thing to sight read. Following many multitasking and doing multiple different aspects, which is tricky counting, weird subdivisions, weird entries, a lot of rest, playing in a large group of people, which is in this case like 60 or 70, whatever people that is. So the perception of sound is very tricky. So this is probably like one of the most complicated pieces in terms of how much focus it requires to play it well. So in this case, I clearly paid attention to you, paid attention to the conductor, forgot about the key change. So, that being said, let's hit the play button. Look at that breath. Just look at. I know it's coming towards the end. The relief. I don't think I've ever seen you as happy after performance as you were here. Look, you're clapping. You're probably clapping to yourself. You're like, made it. Okay, let's stop this. Okay, so that was the Christmas flourish. Well, hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of a thought process and a little bit of. I thought that it would be an interesting performance to share, just because I never posted it because it was past the Christmas time, but and past the.
It makes me nervous just like listening to that again. It's like I'm half anxious right now.
You know, I was looking at it and I was listening to it, and I remember each time when fresh after performance, like I try to avoid listening our stuff because it never sounds as good as I want it to sound. Like nothing ever sounds as good as I want it to sound. But today I was listening to that and I was like, actually it sounds pretty good. That's a difficult piece to play. We did a pretty good job. And now I'm thinking back, this looks a little bit surreal because it's been what is it almost half a year since we close to that, like 5-something months. So looking at this and because it takes a little bit of time to get it back to track. If you want to play something like that, if you take a couple months off from playing in a group, the amount of focus and all that kind of stuff. So I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, that was okay. That was that was not bad at all. So hopefully you enjoyed this. For those who are watching, if you want your questions answered, leave them in the chat box. If you put them through the super chat, all of the money goes to the man behind the curtain, Jack the producer, and your questions will get priority but not exclusivity. And of course, if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to give this video a like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. We would really, really, really appreciate that. That would help the YouTube recommend this content, because the more people like it, YouTube most likely are going to think that YouTube algorithm is more likely to think that more people will like that. Okay, that being said, let's go to our next section, which is going to be, we're going to watch some of the more funny brass videos per se. So, and there's nothing more American than the video we're about to see. So, Jack. Now, pay attention to the composure of this young man. Have you ever seen a more composed young American patriot than this young kid? Oh my God. He managed to figure out to give a salute to the flag. Did you notice he turned to the flag? He literally turned to give a salute to the flag.
I give that kid so much credit as a band director of students of that age. There's so much that can go wrong during a live performance.
And it normally does go wrong. That's
sure. Absolutely. I'm sure that kid just felt, like dying inside at that moment. But it's just amazing what he did. He didn't freak out. He didn't worry. And he actually, basically, he followed the rules of whenever the national anthem is played, looking at the flag. He even saluted the flag there. It's really incredible. For as funny as the situation is, how mistakes could happen and things like that. I'm just really proud of that young man for how he handled himself in that situation. Good for him.
Also, the video comes at the courtesy of Sorona2617. That's the YouTube channel that the video, I believe, was originally posted. But the composure, the level of composure, I would have never figured out. Instead, I would probably try to grab, and you cannot grab the. I figured out why he never did that, because it's so hard. Once that thing rips off.
Yeah. The cymbal grip.
Yes.
There's no way. There's no way you can fix that by the time the end of that piece.
And I was looking at it, and I was trying to figure out, why is he not trying to pick up those plates? And I was like, oh, there's no grip to that thing. You cannot. And he clearly figured that out and just turned to the flag and gave a salute. That's my video of the week, although it's like 7 years old. But okay, that being said, now you want to see some epic trombone playing right there? Let's move to our second video. So play some Bavarian music right here. Nothing out of the ordinary yet. All good. People just having fun. Nice German Bavarian music. Oh, wait a second. Does that remind you of something? Somebody goes off.
I have so much to say about this video.
This is like the let's just stop this. Let's pause this. This is like the most stereotypical.
I have so many things to say about this video. I've never seen this video before in my life, but I have so much to say. But let me know when it's my turn to talk.
Yeah, you go ahead. There's some epic trombone playing going on there. Yeah, go ahead.
This actually reminds me of a true life thing that I have experienced in my life. Near where I live, there is a festival that celebrates an Italian saint. It's called the San Rocco Festival, and for just generations and generations, we've always had this festival. I'm not Italian myself, but I would be asked from time to time to take part in this festival, and it's like many. We don't see a lot of these types of festivals in the United States. You see a lot of times in like Europe, Eastern Europe, Italy, and things like that. But there's not a lot of, other than parades, there's not a lot of like public celebrations. Like you can maybe see some similarities in New Orleans with funerals and things like that, and people gathering and playing that Dixieland style of music. But for this San Rocco Festival, it was very interesting because you would go on a parade and you would play music, and you would stop at random people's houses, and they would have different types of Italian foods and things like that and drinks. And a lot of the older guys would always stop and drink alcohol at these quick little stops. Like sometimes you would only be there for like a few seconds, but they would get their shots of whatever liquor and things like that, and then they would move on to the next house. You would parade and play Italian marches and things like that to the next place, and you would see a ton of guys where they would just love staying at the house, either caught up in the food and they wouldn't want to jump back into the parade route, or they would want to have another extra drink. And you would see them like sometimes running to catch up with the rest of the band, because a lot of times the band leader, he wouldn't want to wait and the band would just keep going. So you would see these random guys trying to keep up. I mean, with these trombone players here, they don't even care. They're not even like trying to catch up. But
I think did you notice how they're walking? It does not seem like they're in any position to be running or trying to catch up. It doesn't seem like they're. It seems like they had a couple of those special drinks you're talking about.
Two other things is I'm shocked that they're still pretty much keeping up with musically the rest of the band that's so far in front of them. Like they still know where they are in the music. But then the last thing that I want to say is it's always great whenever you're in a big group and you're in a parade, because if you make any type of mistake, most of the time you could be covered or buried by the other players that are in the group. But you can hear clear as crystal that one of the guys in particular is just struggling through that part.
All right. Well, we talked a little bit about weddings and how Baruti is going to be playing a piano on our friend's wedding. Now, Mike, here's a question for you. Have you ever considered hiring a trumpet player for wedding? If not, maybe this will help you to reconsider.
Can I talk again? I have so much to say on this one too. I think so much about these. Like your first reaction is to laugh, but I always like to think of the situation at hand and what's taking place. It's tough for this person. I mean, for one, there's no music there. The person's playing probably from memory. And especially if you get thrown off and you're unsure where you are in the music and what's going on, and you feel that pressure that you need to play and fill something in there. I just really feel for this person right now, as funny as you might be laughing. But a lot of times too, whenever you see instances like this, I mean, it might not even be a professional player. It might be a relative of the family that's getting married.
Yeah.
And they want a person to, the person has a talent playing an instrument, and they might say to that relative, "Hey, can you play some trumpet at the wedding?" And mistakes like that can happen and things like that. I'm not sure if that's a professional player or if it's a relative, or there's a lot stacked up against that person right there.
Manny, you're making these like funny videos so serious all of a sudden. It's like making me feel awkward. So I find it.
I just really try. And like I was hoping to see the person too, because I was wondering like how true is this video actually?
Yeah, because it looks like a doctored video in the beginning.
It could be just like a normal wedding ceremony, but someone put in like a horrible trumpet playing over the thing, so you never know really what to believe.
Yeah, either way, I figured maybe we should throw one of these little trios, me, you, and Birute, for the upcoming wedding. Would not be a trumpet, but we could maybe figure something similar out. I'll just put it up.
Yeah, I can play trumpet. Do you want to bring some trumpets? I can play some trumpet.
I'm not very good at playing the trumpet.
Yeah, we should actually play trumpet and have you play, and then we'll compare it to this person here.
Probably sounds similar. All right. That being said, now, have you ever considered joining at this time, especially when there's so much uncertainty, having a secure job like a military band could be potentially a good idea. So have you ever wondered or considered joining one of the military bands? Maybe let's check out.
Oh, you talking about me or the world? You talking to the world right now?
Let's just
you're talking to the world. Okay, good.
Why is the sound not playing on this one? I'm not hearing any sound. Can you hear any sound?
I couldn't hear any sound now.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm just seeing. I think our screen.
1 second. Oh, now we can. You're clearly not amused by the anthem. Like, nope. Okay. You don't look clearly amused by this video, do you?
Me? I'm just trying to figure out where it took place. I know that's
it's Saudi. That's
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's a Saudi military band.
I was trying to figure out with the flag. I know that's either the Russian president or the prime minister or whatever his role is.
They did the same thing with the American anthem as well. Jesus, I'm not feeling like any of these videos are catching your funny side.
No, that's the thing. Like Emily, my wife, she gives me a hard time all the time because she will show me these like, she thinks they're really funny. There'll be like short clips or pictures and stuff like that with like funny sayings. And most of the time I just don't even get them. I don't even understand them. And a lot of the times they're not funny. And she gets, and it's not her fault, but it's just something about me. Like I just
like no sense of humor turns out.
No, I have a sense of humor. Don't get me wrong. But like I just sometimes it doesn't get me. Like the whole time I was watching that video, I really wasn't even listening to the music. I was just trying to figure out what location they were at.
That's, well, if that did not catch your attention, maybe a little compilation of marching band videos will do the trick. Let's spin to the next one.
Ooh. Oh, that's a pal right there. Wow. Oh, jeez. Oh, no, they're all going. They're all going.
Oh, look at this. That moment when you think you're so cool and whoopsie daisy. No?
It's always the drummers.
Build a lot of muscle too.
Now, tell me, why did that one make you laugh? Like, what's so special about this one?
It's just
Trumpet player? Okay. No? This one's not making you laugh?
I
Come on.
I can't even see what happened in that one. Did something happen in that last one?
Yeah, the left corner, the left top corner, the group, same thing.
No.
And they. Huh. I think it was previous. No, maybe next time I'll let you pick the funny videos for next
No,
time.
the one with the kid, that was good because you saw like up close and personal with how the camera was so close. He had some good reaction time though. He just bounced back
seems
up
like
there.
all of them.
Quick.
I expected you to find these a little bit more funny than you originally did. So I guess I'll have to figure out what's your type of humor.
Yeah, it should be like actually a test. You should like see what actually will take bets on what you'll actually think I laugh at. I'm so glad whenever I did.
It seems like I clearly lost on this one.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, you failed on that one. With marching band, whenever I was a member of the marching band in high school, and I'm glad we never had to backwards march. Yeah, you noticed either whenever they were all falling down, it was either a backwards march or it was a drummer who lost their balance. But I'm so glad with our band that we never actually had to backwards march ever. So we rarely had falls because of that. The only time we would have a fall is if the field condition was like too muddy or wet and things like that.
A simple ha 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 would have done the trick as well. So
maybe I'm just not laughing because I am just really hungry. I think I need the energy to laugh. I got my little midnight snack here that I normally have. How long has the stream been going on? How long has it been?
58 minutes.
58 minutes. Oh, no wonder why I don't have the power to laugh.
What is that? What is that?
What, this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a chocolate chip cookie. It's very, very soft. It's very, very soft and delicious.
That's good. Good for you. Well, hopefully that will make you laugh. If you don't laugh on this last video, I guess we're gonna have to cut this segment out.
Oh, is there one more? Is there one more?
I'm getting a little reluctant in showing you stuff because you're not laughing at anything.
If it's really funny, I don't want to be chewing whenever I'm watching it because I don't want to choke.
Okay, let's play the last one.
Hey, so as some of you guys might know, I'm a music teacher, and I found that one of the best ways that I can process the whole transition to online learning and teaching is to write a song. So I wrote a song. I'd like to share that with you guys now. Here we go.
Oh, I get it. She's upset. She's upset because she has to do online teaching, and her song is just a scream. I get it.
You got that one, man. I really need to reevaluate your sense of humor. It seemed like we're not on the same page with this one. Maybe next time you'll get to pick the funny videos. And we need to figure out name for this segment. So we're gonna split these into segments. If anyone has any advice on how we're gonna call that, maybe we should scrap it. It does not seem.
See if any of the viewers have some funny videos. A lot of times they give recommendations.
Oh, yeah. By the way, if anyone has any funny videos that you'd like to submit, my email is in the description box below. It's euphonium.legends@gmail.com. If you have any funny videos you'd like us to react to, send them to me, and I'll make sure next time before we start the stream, I'll practice a little bit of laughing with Mike so he knows how this normally is supposed to work. You're supposed to laugh and giggle and find this funny. It did not seem like you got that part.
I never learned how to laugh. They never taught me in school.
Clearly. Okay, that being said, let's go to some questions and answers. Okay, so the first question comes from one of our patrons by the name of Emil, and the question is, I have to play a note while singing another note. My teacher couldn't tell me how to do that, and I saw you're playing this in a YouTube video. Do you have any trick to hit the tone that you want to hit? My problem is that I play a note and the sound that I'm singing does not fit the note that I'm playing most of the times. Do you sing a specific vowel to specific note? Specific note. Warm regards, Emil. And I sent you the music, but you can see the highlighted spot in the music. It's just basically a concert G, and I think that the singing note is a B flat. That's a little high for multiphonic technique, and that's a little high. But basically, yeah, vowels. Normally, it's a good idea to sing on specific vowels. At the bottom, I would lean towards oo and ah, the middle ah, and when you go towards the higher stuff, I would do e and e. That would help a little bit with singing. But whenever you're trying to learn this technique, sing the top line that you're supposed to sing in a multiphonic technique first. Get that melody crystal clear in your head. So learn how to sing it first, and always treat it, the technique itself, to have a little bit of control. Treat it like a very airy singing, almost you were trying to do huh, huh, type of singing. It sounds a little bit weird, but if I was to I'm thinking of in order to create that singing voice. It's obviously easier to control it once you're playing because they're center. You're probably not going to get good at free buzzing and singing at the same time. But think of vowels, especially at that register, a, or e. Those will help to attain some of those higher notes. It's a little, I don't know what the piece exactly is, but it's written, you don't normally see playing that high. Normally when you sing, it's a low or pedal register and something above. It's very hard to play that note and sing, and the gap between those two notes is not that wide. It's a third, I believe. Normally it's an octave and a third. That's what we're looking at. So or a fourth or a fifth. This is not an easy thing to sing. So but the way I would approach it in terms of practicing, I would learn how to sing it first on a, or e, those vowels, get that melody clear in my head, and then try to play it with an instrument. And that would be the best advice in terms of learning how this technique. Again, practice this an octave lower. Play the pattern that you're playing on the instrument an octave lower to begin with. That will help open up your singing a little bit. So it'll help to clear the pitch out of the way, and then later on put the playing line up the octave where it's supposed to be, and just keep the singing where it is. Any advice from your side, Mike?
Yeah, I have a couple of things to share on that one. Just like you said, a lot of times with the multiphonics that I've seen before, it's a lot easier, especially for me personally, to play a lower sound and then sing up something higher to do the multiphonics. I find it easier to have a lot of distance. You know, if you just play on a pedal sound and you keep that going, then it's a lot easier to sing up above that. And so I'm assuming, I haven't tried this excerpt that you show right there. I'll have to give it a go at some point. You just showed me that, like a handful of minutes before the stream started. But I'll have to give that one a go myself just to see what the difficulties are. But a couple of things that I could recommend is, especially for the singing parts, I'm sure you'd be able to play that G without too much of a problem. But the singing part, like the person had mentioned, might be tricky. So what I would maybe recommend doing too is maybe to try to place a drone on that B flat that you need to actually sing. And then when you actually go to practice the multiphonics, you could play your G and you have that reference pitch in the background of that audible drone of the B flat playing. It might make it a little bit easier for you orally to be able to match that a little bit more. And if you add that to your practicing, you might find more success hitting that pitch whenever you are doing the multiphonics. And then with more practice, it might just begin to happen easier. And then it goes up to a C as well. You can do that. You can do that as well. Just put that on a drone. For actually doing multiphonics, I actually pay more attention to the sound that I'm singing than the one that I'm playing. So what I normally do and how I describe it is, I know how the sound that you have to play already feels. So I know how that G feels when I play it. I know how my lips feel. I know how the inside of my mouth feels, in what position it's in. I know how much air is coming through to be able to get that G to come out. So what I normally like to do is just trust in the feeling of the sound that you need to play. And that sound should be able to come out. And then spend most of your concern on getting the singing pitch to come out. And I sort of think of it as just a hum. I play the sound, and then while the sound is taking place, also don't forget too that the buzz is very important. Please make sure that your buzz is continuing to happen, because if you try to focus on that singing pitch and your buzz stops, well, then there goes that pitch, and it's not going to, your multiphonics isn't going to happen. So rely on the feeling of the sound, make sure your buzz is continuing, and then try to hum out that pitch. I think of it as like a hum. Try to hum out that pitch along with a drone until you get a little bit more comfortable with it.
It seems the way you're describing it in such a detail, it seems like you've been practicing this mainstream euphonium technique so much throughout your study years. You have so much experience.
No. It's I don't have to. I don't know if I've ever had to play part of multiphonics in any of the music that I've ever had to play, but I've heard other pieces of music where it's done, and you just try to see like, oh, you hear that, and like, oh, I wonder if I could do that too. Just like we talked about and discussed, like flutter tonguing one time. It's like, oh, I've heard that before. Can I do that? And I've done a lot of flutter tonguing in my playing, as I've been playing music. But multiphonics isn't a skill that I rarely use it. But whenever you go to do something, and especially as a teacher, whenever you have to play something, you can play it. But whenever you have to help another person with it, sometimes you really need to know how to describe it and break it down to try to help other people do it. So sometimes my mind goes in that direction.
Clearly does on multiphonics. That being said, let's go to the second question, which is coming from another one of our patrons by the name of Colby. And let me just quickly find the question.
It says, how did you get into music and playing the euphonium? Sincerely, Colby.
Okay. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. That being said, I was just, I know we kind of covered that a couple times now in the live streams, but basically a short story, long story short. Not short story long. That'll be funny. Either way, I was looking for an after-school class activity, and I originally wanted to take up singing, but the singing rehearsals were far away, and I told my parents, because I had a bunch of leaflets, and they're basically just like looking through them, and my dad just spotted like an orchestra rehearsals that were like a block away, and my dad has nothing to do with music, like literally the most musically uneducated person you'll ever find in your life, and he was like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure you would like to do some orchestra playing." And I was like, "Really? Why are you so passionate about orchestra playing all of a sudden?" He was like, "I think it would be way cooler than singing." Obviously, he did not want to take me to all the rehearsals in the different part of the city, so I took that up, and he got stuck in work, and I was originally was supposed to assign as a trumpet player, but he got late. We came in late, and they ran out of the instrument. The band director had no instruments left. So he had this old, dented German baritone horn, and he basically said, well, if you're okay trying that, give that a shot. It worked out fine. So that was the start of my playing for euphonium. And like right around age 13 or 14, I decided that, you know what, I'm probably going to pursue a career in that. So that's where I wouldn't say I was started to take it seriously, because I was taking it really seriously, but that's when I started looking around for some colleges and universities and career opportunities and etc. How about you?
I got started out on the instrument. Well, I actually started on trumpet, but the band program at our school district was very good, and just most of the students just got involved with playing an instrument whenever they were young. I started out on trumpet. I was actually pretty good at the trumpet, but by the time I got to high school, I I found out that I was playing the trumpet with a wrong embouchure. So I went to private lessons for trumpet, and my teacher ended up changing my embouchure. And then I turned from, a good trumpet player, I just ended up just being horrible. And I got discouraged, and my teacher recommended, why don't you try this larger instrument? The mouthpiece might be able to bypass the bad embouchure that I had for the trumpet, and I picked up the euphonium in the middle of my ninth grade year, and never looked back.
Yep. Okay. Hopefully that answers that. The third question is coming from another one of the patrons by the name of Spencer. And the question is, how could I best utilize that fourth valve on non-compensating euphonium? I currently have a Yamaha YP321 that is, and honestly, I don't have a clue how to best use that fourth valve. Next horn I get will be professional level of compensating system, but for now, this is what I have, Spencer. Okay, so here's the deal with the fourth valve. Like outside of the obvious, like you use the fourth valve when you run out of the range at the bottom. That would be the obvious. There's no substitute for that. So use it no matter what. In the bottom, you can lip it up and lip it down if it's horribly out of tune. But you're going to have to use your fourth valve below your concert low E because you run out of fingers. Normally on trumpet or free valve instrument, that would be 1, 2, and 3. With your four valve euphonium, you can press the fourth valve and just go like a normal scale down, going to your pedals and below. Now, the way you would normally use your fourth, with compensating instruments, it helps, it's extra tubing and helps with intonation. That being said, sometimes the combinations that you would normally expect the fourth valve to be used for euphonium player, I don't even use it. And I know for a fact that the same thing is with you. Sometimes they're out of tune still. And that does not mean that they're out of tune at the concert pitch, but remember you're playing with another 28 or 26 or whatever brass players. That could be just a touch sharp, just a touch flat, and you have to adjust. So basically, this is the way I approach it, and that's a hot topic. People, because I use a lot of alternative fingerings, and people keep on asking me, why did you use that fingering for that note, and so on. Look, here are a couple of reasons. You use the specific finger combination for intonation, for sound, centering, or convenience. So normally the priority is intonation, especially with vast majority of passages, with the exception of super fast blazing stuff where you cannot really hear exclusive sound and intonation for every single note. You hear them as a chunk, as a phrase, if you're playing like all your harlequins and etc. So normally I use my fourth valve in case something is a little bit sharp or flat. You have a couple of options. So for example, with my A's, I almost exclusively prefer using my fourth valve instead of my second valve, just because I find the second valve combinations on most euphoniums tend to be a little bit flat. Also, the fourth valve combination often has just a little bit more of a back pressure, so you can really drive through that air, especially in the top register if you need to play it out loud. Now, it's a little bit brighter, so that's where the tone thing comes in. Now, if you're sitting at the back of the band and you know that you can't, your problem is intonation and lack of projection, that's where you're using the fourth valve. So you have to figure it out. Every single note has a variety of combinations that you can use. And you always have to think about these things. Is my intonation on point? If not, you have to change the valve combinations immediately or lip it down or lip it up. I prefer changing the combination to switching my aperture too much, because not only changes your technique, but it can also mess with your entrance and etc. going towards the rest of the concert, especially considering that we normally play these 2-hour shows. But the next thing is convenience. Sometimes I use, if I'm playing a fast passage, I like using B flat, C, and D as open, 1, and 3. I just find it for some reason that this pattern coordinates very fast and easy. So sometimes it might be convenience in regards to speed. So you have to pay attention. Intonation, centering, sound, finger speed, or convenience. That's what you need to look at, and basically figure it out which patterns are the likely likely patterns that you're going to be using with piano, with band, and etc. And that's all it comes to fourth valve. Outside of that special low zone where you just have no options. So that's how I would approach it. Anything you'd like to add up on this? Or
Yeah, just to get to the heart of Spencer's question, if he's not familiar with the pretty much the general usage of the fourth valve for if we're talking in the bass clef staff, the second space C, you're going to use fourth valve only for that pitch. For the B natural that's on the second line of the bass clef staff, instead of 1, 2, and 3, you're going to use a second and fourth valve for that. And then the other practical application is below the staff with the E natural. Instead of using 1, 2, and 3, you're going to use 2 and 4 for that one. And just in general, it's going to help with the intonation of those pitches. It's just by the type of horn that Yamaha 321 is the somewhat intermediate type horn, the 4-valve inline model that they have right there. So the Spencer might be in middle school level or early high school. It would be better to get another horn, you know, especially if you're in high school and you're getting pretty serious about your playing. The Yamaha 321 is decent for certain grade levels, but you'll want to get a better horn. As for the other pitches, when you get way down below the staff, you might not see that too much in your music anyway, so it might not even apply to you, but you can use that fourth valve, like you said, to get down into your lower register. Just be careful of the fingerings down there, because they're going to often differ with a non-compensating horn as opposed to a compensating horn. So just those practical reasons for the C, the B natural, and the E natural, and that'll get you pretty far, Spencer.
Okay, so that'll be it from the questions from social media. Let's go to some live questions. Again, we're going to go to live questions. If you have something you'd like to ask, put it in the chat, and we're going to try and answer as many of those as possible. So let me scroll and start looking for them. Okay, Mike, say hello to Maxwell, one of our patrons.
Oh, yeah, I know Maxwell. Hi, Maxwell. Hi.
Yeah. Ellen is here. Say hello
good.
to Ellen.
I was just about to ask if Ellen was here. She
Ellen,
normally is. Hi, Ellen.
Yes. Hello to Ellen. Christopher is here. Say hello to Christopher.
Hi, Chris.
Steph is here. Okay. The volume. Let me find some. Let's put breath support exercise. What's a good breath support? A question by Smitty54. What's a good breath support exercise? I might be playing euphonium again next year, and my breath support isn't great. Okay, so the question, normally the way people form their question just gives me a rough idea of to the extent of the breathing knowledge that people have. Look, with breathing, it's probably it's probably one of the least complicated things to do, because we all breathe. We all know how to breathe, because otherwise, obviously, if you stop breathing, consequences would be pretty severe. So, but with brass playing, it becomes a little bit trickier because it's a physical element. Just like any sport or yoga or whatever, it takes time to master it and do it properly. With brass playing, there's 3 things you need to be paying attention with your breathing. A is that you have enough air. B is that you have enough air at the right time. And 3 is that the air you have, you can control. Those are 3 things you're looking for. Okay. So with breathing support, I would assume you're referring to the point where how can you expand the capacity. Now there's a couple of areas when it comes to using a lot of air and having a lot of air. We're talking about lung function and lung capacity. Lung capacity is a number that is combined of a couple of metrics. One of them is how fast you can inhale. Another one is how fast you can exhale. The third one is the total amount of air that your lungs can hold. The fourth one is how fast your lungs can transfer oxygen to your bloodstream. And the fifth one is how fast it can take away the carbon dioxide from your bloodstream. Now, that number does not change after you're fully mature, unless you get sick or age, it normally goes down. It does not improve. If you're a heavy smoker or you get a bad respiratory disease, that could go down, the lung function number. Now, the lung capacity is the one that we can improve. So it's the total amount that we utilize. So we know, for example, let's say I have 5 liters of air that my lungs can hold. That does not mean that I'm utilizing the full 5 liters. And that's usually the goal. It's utilizing the full amount. Now, the tricky part, imagine your lungs being like a balloon. When your balloon is expanding, at the very top, you don't even need to push the balloon for the air to come out. There's a lot of pressure built up inside. So as soon as you let the top go, the air just bursts out. So you don't even need to put any effort for the air to come out. The problem is that it's very hard to control that air just because there's so much pressure built up. And at the very bottom, you'll notice the tricky part with breathing is that you have to literally push out air for the last remainder of the air to come out. So that's normally how our lungs operate. The very top and the very, very bottom is the hardest to control. Now, the very top is hard because we have a lot of pressure built up. And it's normally what happens for people who are not used to breathing with fuller lung capacity. You get this almost like a gag thing and suspense thing. As soon as you reach past that 80 or 90% of your lung capacity, you get this suspense, which is not controlled. So normally you're going to be able to control that through adjusting your inhale speed. That's why you often hear breathe warm or breathe dark sound. That's just another way of saying slow down your breathing. The main muscle that is responsible for your breathing is diaphragm. Now you have accessory muscles like shoulders, chest, back, and your core muscles, upper core muscles, okay? That can be, imagine you're trying to curl a dumbbell. The main muscle responsible for curling is your bicep, but you can grab a very heavy dumbbell and just swing it and use your back and your shoulders. The downside of that, you're most likely going to get injured in your shoulder area and your back area. The upside of that, you'll be able to handle a larger workload. Now with us, it is very important that you'll be able to control that air. And just like any muscle, diaphragm can get stronger, and also like any muscle, it can get overloaded. So if you try to inhale too fast, look what happens. Your shoulders and your upper chest area start engaging. These accessory muscles start engaging, and that's when you lose control. So you want to practice something that will allow you to track your speed, or something that will allow you to utilize fuller lung capacity under control. So maybe adding an exercise like 4 in, 4 out. It's normally a little bit longer than what you would be breathing whenever you play, but it will allow you to noticeably, in a way that you can slow down your inhale and track that transition from inhale to exhale. So instead of having this tight moment, you have so no gap in between inhale and exhale. So a couple of things, as I mentioned, you want to have the right amount of time at the right amount of air at the right time, and you want to be under control. So incorporate these exercises like 4 in, 4 out. Put your metronome so you're always tracking this consistently. Now, another thing that could help you add a little bit of resistance and strengthen diaphragm is simply using your mouthpiece. So I'm trying to get in the camera shot. Cover 3/4 of the hole inside your cup and start slowly breathing through your shank. So the same idea, and make sure whenever you do this exercise, you take the fullest breath possible and fullest breath out. And you're going to do that by not working harder, but not trying harder, but by slowing it down. Very top, listen to this. You could clearly hear that at the very top, my inhale had to slow down in order for me to avoid this seizing up and cramping in neck. So I did it in a comfortable way, but I had to slow it down at the bottom. So this is what you're going to be trying to control. So pick exercises. Breathing gym would give you a wide selection of exercises to use. Again, it's not necessarily the exercises, the application. So when you're going to be breathing that, you want to slow it down You want to pick an exercise that allow you to slow down your inhale and exhale. Make sure you're getting a smooth, quick transition from inhale to exhale. And a secondary exercise would be something a little bit more along the lines of strength and conditioning, something that will add your resistance. So mouthpiece could be one of the options, or something that I like using is this little Ultrabreathe device. Is like $20, and it will help you to do that in a much more trackable and convenient way. So those would be the exercises that I would be focusing on. Anything you'd like to add?
No, just not too much. You mentioned it as well too. With the breathing gym has just many exercises to help with that concern.
Okay, let's go to some more questions. Okay. Helen is asking if we could get Abby on our channel at some point. Maybe it's it's a real big struggle to get even me and Mike like in different two places. That's why I've been trying to stay away from getting more people involved, at least for now. And you saw the stream was like 30 minutes late at this point. And adding another source, we had our producer do a lot of work just to make this happen. It's not as simple, especially now that we don't have an access to one place where all of us could just gather, sit down, switch on the camera. This online thing makes this whole thing harder. That being said, we'll try to get more people from River City, potentially including Abby as well, to get on some of the streams. We had one stream with our baritone colleague Ross Cohen, so you can go check that out. But we'll try to get more pieces, more people on the streams. Favorite band piece, Mike? I'll let you take that one.
Jeez.
Name couple.
There's just so many that are good. You know, it's just like
name one.
Any I like, you know, the.
Just say Holst. Holst.
I was just about to say the Holst. I like those Holst suites.
Yes. Pick one.
I like the first one more than the second.
Okay, because I like the second one. So, but that's fine. We actually just did the recording on that.
Yeah. It's cool that you had that. Did I say the wrong answer? Should I have said one of your songs that you've done?
No. That's fine. I just wanted to get like an answer from you because I don't want to get like stuck on this for like
it's
30
tough.
minutes.
It's tough to pick a favorite piece. It'd be like saying who's your favorite student. You know, you don't have favorite students. You teach them all. Just like songs, you play them all.
Shout out to Argentina.
Argentina. Hi, Argentina. Close to Brazil there. I said hi to Brazil first, though. They always get first shout out.
Okay. Can you react to some DCI? Mealtime with Ding.
Oh yeah, with the cookie. We have to do coming up while you're looking for questions. We have to do some giveaways where you can give some free stuff to them if anyone can guess what my snack it should be called snack of the stream. And if anyone can guess what my snack is ahead of time, then they win some free stuff from you. We should do something like that.
I'm trying to set this up. I've started talking about potentially doing a mouthpiece giveaway with one of the companies. I'm really excited to first of all get back on this live stream. I'm going to make sure this becomes back a weekly thing. So one thing at a time. Most of you probably noticed the difference in the quality for the regular videos. Those recordings that we're doing, they're very high level in terms of audio quality, video quality, and that took a long time to set up. And from now on, you can expect that most, if not all, the videos are going to be with the same amount of quality. New arrangements, new materials, all that kind of stuff with variety of instruments, variety of whether it's solos, duets, small ensembles. I'm gonna try and get that set up. It's just everything is I'm running out of time as well. So It's getting a little overwhelming, but the giveaway is one of the things I'm thinking about. Have you ever played a French horn before?
Me, yeah, I've played a French horn before. My wife is a French horn player, and the funniest thing, I've played on it from time to time, and like learning my brass methods courses in college and stuff like that. I never did any kind of horn in like high school or middle school or anything like that. But it was one time my wife was practicing some Mozart concerto or something like that, and
Right.
I always like to give her a hard time and stuff like that. Where she played, she's really good. She was on the one video that you just released. I think she's a great player, and she was practicing this horn concerto, and I'm like, I can do that. Give me that horn. So I go and I pick up the French horn, and I just tried recreating what you did, and it just sounded like total garbage. And then, but we always just joke back and forth to each other. But French horn is a hard brass instrument to play. I give French horn players all the credit in the world, but more so than any other brass instrument.
Hi to Austria, hi to Portugal, and hello to Bermuda. Is Schiller a good brand for low brass instruments? Yes, but that is not the brand. Two brands for affordable low brass instruments. Most of you probably know I'm a huge John Packer guy for trombones, euphoniums, and tubas at affordable price. I think they offer you 95% or close to that of the qualities of a top line instrument at a quarter or a third of a price. Schiller is a good brand. Wessex for tubas, that would be a good brand for affordable tubas to look at. Two brands, John Packer, Wessex. I don't have a discount code for any Wessex instruments. For John Packer, you can go to dfmusicking.com and enter the coupon code Matonizz 10% of all the instruments that you buy. So that would give you an extra discount. But those two brands is what I recommend normally. Schiller is a good brand, and if you have an access, I would go for it. It's just not. I don't think they're as. I don't think they put as much detail into it as either Wessex or John Packer to bring the consistency. Emil is saying thank you. I'm glad to help. Sean Peterson, that's my buddy. Okay, we'll answer a few more questions and then we're gonna wrap this up because this is already past hour and a half. Okay. I'm in high school. I forgot to ask people to put question marks at the end, so I'm struggling to find. Was for found. Is that to try? Snack I also want to try. I'm therefore going to have you ever played the? Have you? Okay, so let's. This is probably going to be one of the last ones. Have you ever played the Salvation Army brass music? Not. I believe we did some arrangements with River City from their repertoire, but not original Salvation band music, Army brass music. I believe so. Like I'm pretty sure we did some arrangements, but I definitely never did it.
I might have played some of the things from that back in the day. I can't remember specific ones, but it does ring a little bit of a bell whenever I hear that question.
Okay.
Nothing to remember, very specifically.
All right. Well, thank you everyone who joined us live today. This video will be available for review later on YouTube. I'm gonna go back on Facebook as well. We're gonna figure that out by the next week. Next week, I believe the stream is gonna be on Thursday, 1 p.m. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're gonna be in that series that the brass band is doing.
Yeah. So it's gonna be. Is going to be on Thursday again, and we're going to bring, if anyone has any suggestions. So we need to, obviously, as you can see, there are some imperfections, but at least you can see where this podcast is heading in terms of a production and what we're going to do with different sections. This is a first one of a slightly different structure, and we're super glad to be back. We're going to work out to craft the little details so everything is visually more appealing, and you don't have to wait half an hour for this to kick in next time. Big shout out to our producer Jack, who did a great work. we'll make sure that by the time next week comes, we've got more of these segments refined. So if you have any ideas for the names of each segment, we still need to figure that out. We'll probably discuss that. But again, thank you so much for watching. If you could do us a big favor and give this video a thumbs up, that would greatly help the channel and the video. We would appreciate that. And with that being said, have a great rest of the week, and thanks for watching, and take care, everyone.